Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to 90 Day Fiancé latest news. Just 2 days ago, Loren and Alexei Brovarnik, who were formerly one of the most popular couples in the 90 Day Fiancé franchise, formalized their divorce in court. The court told Alexei to pay Loren $200,000, which was the legal and emotional end of a romance that fans had watched with hope and admiration. The news has spread like wildfire on social media and in major news outlets, leaving followers distraught. They were the couple that made people believe in love that crossed borders. Loren Goldstone met Alexei Brovarnik on a birthright trip to Israel, where Alexei was a medic. Their chemistry was instant, and their narrative played out over several seasons of 90 Day Fiancé, happily ever after, and after the 90 days. Fans saw Loren fly to Israel 5 times in 1 year while they waited for Alexei's visa to be approved. Millions of people watched their wedding, their move to Florida, and the birth of their 3 children. It looked like their link would never break. Loren's openness about postpartum depression and Alexei's calm strength made them both sympathetic and inspiring. But things were starting to go wrong behind the scenes. There have been whispers for the previous few months that things were tense in the Brovarnik home. Loren's messages on social media grew less clear, and Alexei didn't show up as much in her stories. Fans thought of fights, emotional distance, and the stress of raising 3 small kids. According to trustworthy news sources, the couple had trouble talking to each other and connecting emotionally. People close to the couple said that Loren felt more and more alone, while Alexei had a hard time balancing being a parent and being famous. Their rhythm, which used to be in sync, started to break down. Loren is said to have gone to treatment, while Alexei shut himself off from the outside world and focused on his business and personal life. It didn't happen overnight that they decided to get a divorce. People who know the couple said they had been going to counseling, but couldn't work out their disagreements. Loren, who was renowned for being open about her feelings, reportedly told close friends that she felt unseen and unheard. Alexei, on the other hand, was said to be exhausted and conflicted. The last court hearing was 2 days ago. The judge found in Loren's favor and told Alexei to pay her $200,000, which is said to cover child support, spousal support, and legal fees. People said the courtroom was sad, and Loren looked calm while Alexei looked shaken. Media outlets got legal papers that confirmed the divorce settlement. Alexei didn't fight the $200,000 payment, which showed that he wanted to end the chapter without any more problems. Loren's lawyers talked a lot about how important it was for her to have financial stability as a single mother of 3. Alexei's lawyers, on the other hand, talked about how important it was for him to keep his reputation and find a peaceful settlement. The judge quickly made a decision, and the divorce was complete. There was no fight over custody. Sources claim the couple agreed to joint custody, with Loren keeping the right to live there. Instagram went crazy within a few hours after the court's decision. People who followed Loren sent her page a lot of words of support, sadness, and bewilderment. People started using hashtags like #TeamLoren and #BrovarnikDivorce. Alexei's page, on the other hand, had a mix of support and criticism. Fan pages and reality TV forums went over every little thing. Some people said that the stress of being famous was to blame, while others said that cultural differences were to fault. A lot of people were just sad that a love story they had been following for a long time was over. People who knew Loren well said she was relieved but heartbroken. She is said to have spent the night of the divorce with her kids, away from the public glare. Alexei, on the other hand, was believed to be devastated and stayed away from social media and public events. It's clear that both sides are hurting emotionally. Loren's journey from being a hopeful bride to a single mother has been full of ups and downs. Alexei's silence says a lot about the fight he's having inside. People who work on TLC shows and people who are in the 90 Day Fiancé universe were shocked and upset. Several cast members sent tributes to Loren and Alexei's journey, stressing how love can be unpredictable and how brave it is to walk away. The franchise used to hold them up as a model couple, but now they have to deal with the fact that they are no longer together. People will probably talk about their story again in the future, but for now, the focus is on how sad their breakup was. Screen Rant and TV Season Spoilers, 2 big news sites, wrote a lot about the divorce, using sources and looking at the timing of their marriage's demise. There were a lot of fan replies in the comments, some of which were sad, some were angry, and many were just brokenhearted. The Brovarniks' divorce is more than just a celebrity breakup. It's a cultural event for viewers of reality TV. It makes people question the idea of happily ever after, and reminds them that even the best relationships can have problems. Even though it was sad, Loren and Alexei's love tale will always be in the hearts of people. They went from being newlyweds in Israel to parents in Florida, and their trip was full of real moments of love, comedy, and strength. Their divorce is sad, but it doesn't take away the beauty of the time they spent together. It doesn't erase a legacy, it signifies the end of a chapter. The public only saw carefully chosen pictures of Loren and Alexei's life, such matching clothing, family trips, and lighthearted teasing. But things were far more complicated behind closed doors. People close to the couple said that their emotional gap was getting bigger. Loren, who used to be bubbly and outgoing, had started to pull back. People said that Alexei, who was known for being calm, grew more and more reclusive. Taking care of 3 kids under 5 years old, along with the expectations of being famous on reality TV, made things quite unstable. Loren boldly told her followers about her postpartum problems, which were made worse by emotions of loneliness. Alexei, on the other hand, felt the pressure of being the emotional anchor, frequently without the words to say how he felt. Friends claim their home turned into a quiet struggle, with fights muffled by tiredness and love replaced by duty. The divorce process went quickly, but there were months of negotiations before it started. Loren's lawyers worked hard to make sure she and the kids were financially stable. The $200,000 settlement was meant to pay for child support, spousal support, and legal fees. It wasn't meant to be a punishment, it was meant to be useful. Alexei didn't argue about the amount. People close to him say he wanted to avoid a long legal fight and keep what little dignity he had left. The pair is said to have signed a non-disparagement agreement, which means that neither of them may say bad things about the other in public. Court papers showed that Loren and his wife had agreed to share custody, but Loren would keep the right to live with the kids most of the time. Above everything else, the children's health and happiness came first. Shai, Asher, and Ariel are 3 young boys who fans have come to know well. They are now at the center of a new family dynamic. Loren has said that she will protect them from the media storm. Alexei has also said he will minimize their exposure at this time of change. It's never easy to be a parent after a divorce, especially when millions of people are watching. But Loren and Alexei have promised to raise their child together with respect and consistency. Their love for each other brought their children into the world. Fans have been really supportive. Instagram stories, TikTok edits, and Reddit threads have made the Brovarnik divorce a public grief. Fans submitted footage of their favorite parts, such Alexei supporting Loren when she was in labor, Loren's tearful confessions, and their humorous banter in the kitchen. Some followers made tribute videos with sad music that told the story of how their connection grew and then fell apart. Some people wrote open letters to commend them for being honest and forthright. You can feel the heartbreak. For a lot of people, Loren and Alexei weren't just stars of a reality show. They were symbols of optimism. Because of their divorce, people started talking about marriages between people from different cultures. Loren, an American Jew, and Alexei, an Israeli immigrant, handled their cultural differences with grace, but it wasn't always easy. Language problems, familial expectations, and different ways of showing emotions all played small parts in their breakup. Experts said that ethnic variety can make a relationship better, but it also needs careful communication and compromise. Loren and Alexei's trip showed how beautiful and fragile these kinds of relationships can be. It has been said that the producers of TLC's 90 Day Fiancé are rethinking how they show couples. Loren and Alexei were widely seen as the gold standard, a couple that beat the odds. Their divorce goes against that story. Some fans have asked for additional mental health care for the cast members because of the stress that comes with being in the public eye. Some others wonder if the franchise makes relationships look better than they really are in the long run. The story of the Brovarniks could change how reality TV shows deal with love, marriage, and being true. Loren posted a simple message on Instagram 2 days after the court's decision. Some chapters end so others can begin. The picture showed her hugging her kids with her back to the camera. Alexei hasn't said anything. His last post, which was weeks before the divorce, was a picture of the beach with just a wave emoji as the text. Their silence says a lot. Their departure echoes through fan groups, news channels, and the emotions of people who believed in their love. Divorce isn't only a legal thing, it's an emotional upheaval. Loren and Alexei are now dealing with sadness, changes in who they are, and what it means to be a family. Loren used to be part of a famous duo, but now he is a single father. Alexei, who used to be the calm protector, now has to figure out how to live outside of their marriage. Therapists and people who know a lot about relationships have said their piece. After a public split, the silence is frequently louder than the uproar that came before it. That quiet has become a blank canvas for fans, media, and even former castmates to construct their own pictures of what it means for Loren and Alexei Brovarnik. 2 days after the last court decision, the couple has gone into hiding, leaving behind a path of memories, pain, and questions that will never be answered. Loren's Instagram post, "Some chapters end so others can begin," was short but quite powerful. It wasn't just a caption, it was the end of a love story that had gone on for years through seasons and on different screens. The picture that went with it, of her with her arms around her 3 sons and her face turned away, said a lot. It was motherly, protective, and determined. Alexei, on the other hand, has not said anything online. His last post, which was just a wave emoji under a picture of the ocean, suddenly seems like a sign that he is leaving. Their divorce has a lot of emotional ups and downs. Loren, who used to be the bubbly narrator of their voyage, is now a single mother. She changes diapers, picks up kids from preschool, and feels the silent anguish of being alone all day. Alexei, who used to be her emotional rock, is now living apart from her and concentrating on work and recovering himself. People who know the couple well say that the mood is like grief without war, a sadness that both people share but without anger. Their narrative, which used to be an example of love between people from different cultures, is now a case study in how complicated modern relationships can be. Loren and Alexei were more than simply reality stars. They were symbols. They showed that love could cross countries, languages, and customs. Their wedding, which was seen by millions of people, was a celebration of oneness. Their honest account of their parenting journey showed how vulnerable they were. But love, as it turns out, is not immune to deterioration. In the months before the divorce, small indicators started to show themselves. Loren's social media changed from being about her and her partner to being about her. Her tone was more reflective, and her captions hinted at emotional exhaustion. Alexei, who used to be a regular part of her posts, disappeared. The absence wasn't only physical, it was also emotional. People who liked it noticed. People on Reddit guessed. The tabloids whispered. But the pair kept quiet, wanting to be dignified instead of dramatic. But in the background, things were really falling apart. People close to Loren said she had been going to therapy because she felt alone and like she had lost her sense of self. Being a mother, while rewarding, had taken over her life. She was emotionally drained after going from being a wife to a mother to a public figure. Friends called Alexei stoic but sensitive, and he had a hard time putting his own frustrations into words. The couple had lost their rhythm after being in sync. The last court session, which was calm and without fanfare, marked the end of their marriage in the eyes of the law. Loren looked calm, and her lawyers were focused and strong. Alexei, who was wearing modest colors, was clearly upset. The judge quickly decided that the compensation should be $200,000, and no one disagreed. It wasn't about punishing, it was about being practical. Loren, who was now the main caregiver, needed to be financially stable. Alexei consented, knowing how much his absence would mean. The agreement gave Loren primary dwelling rights and joint custody. There was no fight for custody and no public name-calling. 2 people who used to be very much in love chose peace over pride. People who were there said the courtroom was quiet. No crying, no yelling. The sound of a chapter coming to an end. After that, social media turned into a digital wake. Fans made tribute movies and montages of Loren and Alexei's sweetest moments, like their first kisses, hospital scenes, and family trips. There were a lot of modifications on TikTok that were put to sad music. Messages of support, sadness, and astonishment were sent through Instagram stories. For hours, hashtags like #BrovarnikBreakup and hashtag end of an era were popular. But more serious talks came up after the fanfare. People who care about mental health complimented Loren for being honest about her postpartum depression and emotional exhaustion. Experts on relationships talked about the stress of public marriages. Cultural critics looked at the subtleties of marriages between people from different cultures. Loren and Alexei's divorce, albeit personal, had evolved into a reflection of societal realities. One of those truths is how fame may hurt your feelings. Reality TV is a double-edged weapon, no matter how glamorous it seems. It gives you visibility, but it also makes you open to attack. Loren and Alexei's lives were edited, put together, and shown on TV. Their fights, makeups, and important events became content. There was a lot of pressure to do well and keep up the appearance of perfection. And over time, it wore down their base. Another truth is that parenting is hard when people are watching. Loren and Alexei had 3 kids in a row. Every birth was recorded, praised, and analyzed. Loren's path after giving birth was authentic and raw, but it was also public. People applauded and criticized Alexei's role as a father. The couple had to deal with the expectations of millions of people while still trying to raise their family. Their divorce has also brought up the topic of gender roles in modern marriages again. Loren, the emotional narrator, often had to do most of the talking. Alexei, the quiet protector, had trouble saying what he wanted to say. Their relationship was balanced in certain respects, but it also showed how hard emotional work can be. Loren was tired not only physically but also mentally. Alexei's quiet wasn't because he didn't care. It was because he was overwhelmed. After the divorce, TLC producers are said to have contacted both sides. Neither has said for sure that they would appear again, but insiders say that Loren may be in a retrospective special. Not to bring up the anguish again, but to end it. Sources say that Alexei is less likely to do so. They say that his healing is private. Former cast members have also said something. Anfisa Arkhipchenko sent a message of support. Love is hard. Getting better is tougher. Sending support to Loren. David and Annie Toborowski posted a picture of themselves with Loren and wrote, "Family isn't always blood. We're here for you." The franchise, which used to be the setting for their love story, is now a chorus of support. But the fans' reactions may have been the most moving. A user said, "Loren and Alexei made me believe in love again. Watching them grow, struggle, and shine made their breakup feel personal. I'm heartbroken but thankful. The emotional investment is substantial." Loren and Alexei weren't simply characters, they were friends. After everything that happened, Loren is said to be focused on her health and her kids. She has started therapy again, relied on her support system, and started to rebuild. She has a lot of routines throughout her day, like breakfast, school runs, and bedtime reading. But there is a quiet strength deep below. Not only is she alive, but she is also growing. Alexei, on the other hand, is back to work. He hasn't done many interviews or made public pronouncements. Friends say he's sad but still grounded. He still loves his kids and respects Loren. They claim that the stillness is his method of remembering the past. Their tale is still important, even though it has finished. It's a reminder that love doesn't always last, but it may still be lovely. Loren and Alexei educated others about being strong, being open, and having the guts to leave. Their divorce is a sign of maturity, even though it hurts. In the realm of reality TV, where drama typically takes over, Loren and Alexei stood out. They were real. They were not cooked. And now they are no longer together. But their legacy lives on in the hearts of fans, the lessons learnt, and the quiet strength of 2 people who chose peace. The noise will go away as the days grow into weeks. The hashtags won't be popular anymore. The changes will take longer. But their narrative will still have an effect. Loren and Alexei Brovarnik may not be together anymore, but they will always be a chapter in the book of love that showed us that endings can be beautiful too. And there is hope in that grace. Not to make up, not to get back together, but to heal, to grow, for fresh starts. Loren and Alexei's last chapter may have ended, but their narrative will live on for years to come. After the last court verdict, the Brovarnik family has entered a new phase. This period is not defined by common routines, but by healing that happens at the same time. Loren has started to reconstruct her life in little, careful steps. She is now the only emotional support for her 3 young sons. Her mornings start earlier, her evenings last longer, and her sense of self, which used to be tied to a common identity, is slowly coming back. Alexei, on the other hand, has gone into hiding. Friends claim he's with relatives and dealing with his feelings in solitude. He isn't avoiding social media. He's protecting it by not using it. He never wanted to be famous, but the public anguish is a weight he has decided to bear in silence. The divorce they just finished 2 days ago is still having an effect on the 90-day fiancé world. Fans are still in shock, but they've channeled their sadness into thought. What does it imply when the most stable marriage in a brand that is based on instability breaks up? What can we learn from a love tale that once beat the odds, but then gave in to them? Loren and Alexei were more than just stars on TV for a lot of people. They were emotional anchors. Their story of optimism was how they went from meeting by happenstance in Israel to building a life in Florida. They handled the difficulties of immigration, cultural barriers, and the harsh reality of being a parent with grace. It felt like their love was real, not fake, and that made it even harder to watch things fall apart. Loren often talked about how hard it was to be in the public eye during interviews before the divorce. "People think they know us," she observed once, "but they only see what we choose to show." That choice became a kind of emotional work over time. It was hard work to keep happiness alive, hide anxiety, and show perseverance. There were sleepless nights, unresolved fights, and the slow loss of closeness behind the smiles. Alexei, who didn't say much but was just as upset, had a hard time being both a husband and a public person. People used to praise his calm demeanor, but it became a cause of confusion. Loren was outspoken and emotionally fluent, but she often felt alone in her weakness. At first, their differences worked well together, but now they are clashing. There was a lot of distance, emotional, physical, and mental, in the last few months. Loren's postings started to look more inward. Alexei's presence faded. Their encounters, which used to be fun and friendly, became into business. People noticed. Fans did too. But the couple stayed quiet, opting to keep their dignity above telling the truth. Even though the court procedures went quickly, they were full of emotion. Loren's lawyers made a strong case for financial help, focusing on her role as the main caregiver. Alexei agreed to the $200,000 settlement without putting up a fight. It wasn't a fight, it was a surrender. They knew their paths had diverged, and that peace was more important than pride. The carefully written joint custody agreement shows how much they both care about their kids. Shai, Asher, and Ariel are still the most important people in their lives. Loren has taken up the challenge of being a single mother with her usual strength. Her boys' school runs, playdates, and nighttime routines shape her days. But there is a quiet sadness below. She was sad not only about the marriage, but also about the future she had hoped for. Alexei is also getting used to it. His time with the kids is precious, and he is still their father. But not having a partner every day has left a hole. Friends say he is thoughtful and focused on mending and thinking things over. He isn't angry, he's just shattered. People have reacted in both huge and personal ways. Fans have told their own sad stories, comparing their lives to the Brovarniks. Loren's email is full of messages of encouragement. Some people give sympathy, while others offer thanks. A follower wrote, "You made me feel seen. You gave me the strength to leave my unhappy marriage." This emotional connection shows how strong representation can be. Loren and Alexei's story wasn't only fun to read, it was a mirror. Their weakness made it possible for other people to face their own truths. And their choice to break up, even though it hurt, showed a kind of strength that isn't often shown on TV. Loren's honesty has been lauded by mental health professionals. Her open talks about postpartum depression, anxiety, and emotional weariness have helped others stop being ashamed of these things. Loren's honesty has changed the game in a world that typically expects mothers to be ideal. People have also noticed Alexei's quiet strength, even though it's not as obvious. His refusal to get involved in public drama, his acceptance of the court's ruling, and his continuous dedication to being a father show that he is more mature than his popularity. The franchise is dealing with the effects of what happened. Reports say that producers are looking at how relationships are shown again and thinking about giving cast members better support systems. The Brovarniks' divorce has shown how hard it is to be in the public eye, which has led to discussions about ethics, accountability, and caring. Former cast members have kept showing their support. Debbie Johnson, who has had her own ups and downs, wrote a touching message. Love is messy. Loren and Alexei showed us both the good and the bad. I'm proud of them. Others have said similar things, saying that the divorce is not a failure but a change. Cultural critics have also had their say. People often praised Loren and Alexei's marriage across cultures, but they didn't look into it very much. There were actual disparities between them in how they talked to each other, how they showed their feelings, and what their families expected of them. And even if love filled those voids for years, it couldn't get rid of them. Their narrative goes against the idea that opposites attract. It makes people think about how hard it is to keep love alive despite cultural differences. And it shows how important it is to be emotionally fluent, understand each other, and grow together. Loren is anticipated to keep working for her cause in the coming days. Her platform used to be all about family life, but it's changing. She is said to be looking at working with women's empowerment groups, parenting networks, and mental health organizations. Her voice, which has been sculpted by experience, has power. Alexei's future is still more hidden. His main goals are stability, becoming a good parent, and healing himself. Fans want him to say anything, but many close to him believe he would rather not. Not because they wanted to escape it, but because they respected Loren, their kids, and the love that used to be. Even though they are divorced, their story isn't over. It's a change from living together to taking care of each other, from being love partners to being co-parents, from well-known people to regular people. And there is grace in that change. Loren and Alexei educated others about love, strength, and being open. They had a lot of ups and downs on their journey, but in the end, they were brave. The bravery to love, the bravery to try, and the bravery to let go. Their divorce does not define their legacy. Their humanity does. They were real. They were not cooked. And they were bold. Fans will remember the last chapter for the laughs, the tears, and the times that seemed like magic. And even though the story is over, its effects go on. Loren and Alexei are getting better in the solitude of their own lives. Not for the cameras, not for the fans, but just for themselves. And that might be the best love tale of all. This gossip is over. If you liked the video, then give your opinion in the comment box and stay with us by subscribing the channel. Thank you.